This session will focus on how to support language development through text. So every single ELD lesson should have a language focus. And today we'll explore how to support students in using the language while they're engaging in the text. First, I'm going to model what this could look like in a short lesson. As you watch this lesson, I encourage you to think about the strategies that I'm using and the questions that I'm asking to support students in using the language from the CLO as they engage with the text and as they express their understanding of the content in the text. So I'll put my teacher hat on and we'll get started. Hi, class. Just as a reminder, today our CLO is to be able to explain how genetics or nature influence our identity. And we'll do this using phrasal verbs. And you guys already learned these phrasal verbs earlier in the lesson. We've already practiced these. So let's say these verbs aloud one more time before you break out into partner practice. Say them with me. Affected by, determined by, impacted by. Great. So again, these phrases help us talk about how our skills are impacted by or affected by our genetics. So we're going to use these verbs to talk about how one thing is impacted by another. And you already practiced this aloud. We've already practiced this through a number of examples. And so now we're actually going to revisit our text from yesterday. As you recall, we read Can Genes Predict Athletic Performance yesterday on Newsela. You read the whole text yesterday, and today we're just going to zoom in on specific parts of the text. And as you read the text and as you zoom in on those parts, I want you to use the language that you learned today to respond to some of the questions that I've posed about the text. So in a moment, you'll jump into Schoology and you'll open your assignment that includes this note catcher for the day. And again, you'll be doing this in partners, so you can share one note catcher per group. And what you'll do is you will partner read the excerpt below. So this isn't the whole text. An excerpt means just a part of a text. And remember, when we partner read, person A will read the first paragraph and then person B reads the second paragraph. And so you'll partner read this excerpt aloud with your small group. Then, after each paragraph, I have posed a question about that paragraph. And in the question, I've asked you to use one of these phrasal verbs in your response. The question is constructed so that you have to think about how one thing influences another, and then you'll express your understanding using one of these phrasal verbs. So let me show you an example. For this first paragraph, it says, do your genes affect how well you play sports? That is a question that people have asked for many years. Now that we have the ability to study human genes, scientists have made discoveries that suggest some athletic ability might be genetic, but there's still many questions left to answer. So once I've read that paragraph, I'll pause with my group, and we see a question here. It says, this sentence suggests that athletic ability might be genetic, but that there are still many questions left to answer, which makes me think that it might not be all genetic. So the question is, what else might athletic ability be determined by? Well, I know when I was on the swim team, one summer I practiced 2 times each day. I practiced twice as hard. And I actually did better in all of my races. And so I'm going to say that athletic ability might be, okay, here's where I use my phrasal verb, determined by hard work. And then I'll just make sure that I highlight my phrasal verb. That's just to ensure that you include that phrasal verb. And so every question is going to ask you to respond using one of those phrasal verbs. And during this lesson, you're going to be challenged to think about, remember our CLO is talking about how skills and your identity are impacted by nature. And so throughout the text, you'll be really thinking about that question using phrasal verbs. So let's break up into groups. I've already assigned your partner. And in a moment, I'll share this slide in the chat. And you will need to open the slide, see what group you're in, and click on the Google Meet that's aligned to your group. Then you'll partner read each paragraph aloud, respond in your note catcher, and at 2:45, you need to click home. Okay, we'll look at the bottom of this note catcher. We have a spot for you to click home. That means that you will rejoin our group. So I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I'll take off my teacher hat. Please take a moment to pause and answer the question below, reflecting on the different strategies that you saw me use to elicit that language practice from students.